All right, so you know how many people worry that running is going to wreck their knees?
Yeah, it's a pretty common concern.
For sure. No one wants to end up with chronic pain,
Right.
especially in a joint that's so important for, like, everything.
Exactly. And it makes sense why people would think that way. There's a lot of talk about the impact of running on your joints.
Right. So that's what we're diving into today, an article from rockingultra.com that really gets into the science of running and knee health. And get this, what I learned was kind of shocking.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It turns out that the whole idea of running being automatically bad for your knees is actually a myth.
A miss.
Yeah. In fact, research shows that runners are less likely to get osteoarthritis than people who don't run.
That's right. There was a study published in Arthritis Care and Research that found exactly that runners actually had a lower risk of developing osteoarthritis.
Wow. So running might actually be good for our knees. That's wild. How does that even work?
Cool. Think about it this way. When you run, it puts a controlled load on your knee joint, and this load actually stimulates the cartilage to regenerate.
So it's like a workout for your cartilage.
Exactly. And that regeneration is key for healthy knee function.
Huh. So it's not about avoiding impact altogether. It's more about the right kind of impact and how our bodies adapt.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another study from Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise in 2017 that found that long-distance running didn't cause cartilage to break down. In fact, it seemed to do the opposite. It might actually stimulate cartilage growth.
That's amazing.
It is. And there's more. Running also increases the circulation of synovial fluid, which is like the lubricant for your joints. So better circulation means healthier cartilage and smoother movement.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense because I always feel so much better after a run,
Yeah.
even if I'm a little stiff before.
Right. And we can't forget about the muscle strengthening benefits of running.
True.
It builds up those key muscle groups that support your knees, like your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes.
Oh, so those muscles are like shock absorbers for our knees.
Exactly. They help to take some of the stress off the joint itself.
I've always been more focused on strength training for my upper body. But maybe I need to give those leg workouts more attention.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Strong legs are so important for runners, especially if you're worried about knee health.
Okay, so we've busted the myth that running equals knee problems. But if that's true, then why do so many runners have knee pain?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's where things get really interesting. The article highlights several things that can lead to knee pain, and usually it's not the running itself.
Really? So what are the real culprits then?
Well, one of the biggest offenders is poor running form.
Like, what do you mean?
Like if you're overstriding or landing too hard on your heels with each step, you're basically sending shock waves through your joints.
Ouch. It sounds like slamming your knees into the pavement over and over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
A more natural midfoot strike is way gentler on your body, and that can make a big difference in preventing knee pain.
So having good technique is super important.
Yeah.
What else should runners be aware of?
Muscle imbalances can also be a problem. If your quads, glutes, or even your core are weak, then other muscles have to work harder to compensate. And that can put a lot of extra strain on your knees.
Wait, hold on. Core strength matters for running. I thought that was just for, like, looking good in a swimsuit.
Nope, it's way more important than that. Your core is like your foundation. It affects your whole posture and how you move.
Yeah.
So if it's weak, it can lead to all sorts of issues, including knee pain.
So planks and crunches aren't just about aesthetics. They're actually about functional strength and protecting our joints.
Exactly. It's all connected. And speaking of connections, the article also talks about the IT band.
IT band. Remind me what that is again.
It's this thick band of tissue that runs along the outside of your thigh. It helps to stabilize your knee. But if it gets tight, which happens a lot with runners, it can pull on your kneecap and cause pain.
Oh, wow. So what can we do about that?
Stretching and foam rolling can help to keep your IT band loose and happy.
Okay, got it. So we've got running form muscle imbalances and a happy IT band. Anything else to add to the list?
Definitely. Training errors are another big one, especially for people who are new to running.
Oh, yeah. Like going too hard too soon.
Exactly. That's a classic mistake. It's so easy to get excited and overdo it, but then you end up sidelined with an injury.
Been there. Done that. Learned my lesson the hard way.
Yeah, it happens. The key is to be patient and increase your mileage gradually. That gives your body time to adapt without getting overwhelmed.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about our gear? Does that play a role in knee health too?
Absolutely. Your shoes can make a huge difference.
I used to think any old sneakers would do,
Yeah.
but then I got fitted for actual running shoes. And wow, it was like night and day.
Right. The right shoes provide cushioning and support that's specific to your foot type and how you run. And just as important, you need to replace them regularly.
Yeah, because running in worn-out shoes is kind of like asking for trouble.
Yeah.
But how often should we be replacing them?
It depends on how much you run and your running style, but a good rule of thumb is every 300 to 500 miles.
Okay, so pay attention to the mileage and how the shoes feel.
Yeah. Exactly. And here's another thing that can contribute to knee pain: running on the same surface all the time.
Oh yeah, I'm totally guilty of that. I tend to stick to the same paved route because it's easy and familiar.
I get it. But your knees will thank you for mixing things up a bit. Try incorporating some trails or tracks or even softer surfaces like grass or dirt roads into your routine.
Makes sense. Give those joints a little variety.
Exactly. And it's not just about your knees, it's also good for your mind to have some variety in your runs.
True. So let's recap. We've busted the myth that running automatically leads to knee problems. But there are other factors that can cause knee pain for runners.
Exactly. And one of the most important things to remember is that pain is a signal, not a sentence.
What do you mean by that?
We'll dive into that more after a quick break. But the key takeaway here is don't ignore pain. It's your body trying to tell you something.
Ooh, cliffhanger.
Okay.
We'll be right back after this.
And we'll unravel the mystery of pain and what it means for runners.
Stay tuned.
So yeah, it's like your body's waving a little red flag, saying, hey, pay attention, something's not quite right here.
Okay, so it's like a warning sign.
Exactly.
But does that mean we should stop running the second we feel any kind of pain?
Not always. Sometimes a little rest and some TLC is all you need. You know? Ice. Take a break. Let your body recover. But if the pain keeps coming back or it starts to get worse, then yeah, it's probably a good idea to get it checked out.
So who should we call when our knees are talking to us? Like what kind of doctor?
A physiotherapist who specializes in runners can be really helpful.
Okay.
They can look at how you run, your biomechanics, and they can figure out if there are any underlying issues that might be causing the pain.
So they're like a detective for your body.
Yeah, kind of.
Hmm.
They can help to pinpoint the root of the problem and then come up with a plan to fix it.
I like that, finding the root cause instead of just masking the symptoms.
Exactly. And, sometimes knee pain isn't even related to running at all.
Really? How is that possible?
The article talks about this thing called the inactivity trap.
Inactivity trap. What's that?
So imagine this. Someone starts having knee pain, and they think, oh, it must be the running. So they stop running altogether. But here's the thing. Inactivity can actually make knee pain worse.
How does that work?
Well, when you're inactive, your muscles get weaker and you lose flexibility. And that can put more stress on your joints.
Oh, so it's like a vicious cycle. You stop running because of knee pain, but then not running makes your knees even worse.
Exactly. It's kind of counterintuitive, but moving is often the best thing you can do for joint pain.
Wow. This is making me rethink everything I thought I knew about running and knee health.
It's all about having the right information, so you can make the best choices for your body.
Okay, so we've established that running itself isn't the bad guy. But are there any situations where running could actually be harmful to our knees?
Yeah, there are a few exceptions. Like if you're overtraining and not giving your body enough time to recover, that can definitely lead to injuries.
That makes sense. You got to give your body a break sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And another red flag is if you have any past injuries that haven't been properly treated.
Like what kind of injuries?
Things like ligament tears or cartilage damage. If you've had a serious knee injury in the past, it's really important to make sure it's fully healed before you start running again.
Otherwise, it's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation.
Exactly. You're setting yourself up for problems down the road.
Got it. What about our posture? Does that affect our knees too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If your body isn't properly aligned, it can throw off your whole biomechanics, and that can put extra stress on your joints, including your knees.
This is all so fascinating. It's like our whole body is a chain reaction. One thing affects the next.
It is. And running, because it's such a high-impact activity, it really highlights those connections.
Okay. So how do we make sure we're running safely and protecting our knees? What are the key things to keep in mind?
Well, the article gives some really practical advice. One of the most important things is to have a smart training plan.
Like, what do you mean by smart?
Well, it means gradually increasing your mileage and intensity, not doing too much too soon. And it also means incorporating rest days and varying your workouts to avoid repetitive stress.
So it's all about finding the right balance.
Exactly. And remember all that stuff we talked about earlier? Like strength training and stretching.
Right. Got to keep those muscles strong and those joints mobile.
Exactly. Those things are super important for protecting your knees. And don't forget about your shoes.
Oh, yeah. Got to have the right footwear.
Definitely. Make sure your shoes are providing good cushioning and support.
Yeah.
and replace them regularly.
Got it. What about running surfaces? Should we be switching things up?
Yeah, it's a good idea to vary your running surfaces. Run on trails, tracks, grass, even dirt roads. It gives your joints a break from the constant pounding of pavement.
Like cross-training for our knees.
Exactly. And it keeps things interesting, too.
So we've got a good training plan, strength training, stretching, proper footwear, and variety in our running surfaces. Is there anything else?
The most important thing of all is to listen to your body.
Like, what do you mean? How do we do that?
Pay attention to any aches, pains, or twinges. Don't just ignore them.
Because pain is trying to tell us something.
Exactly. It's a messenger, not the enemy. So if something feels off, don't be afraid to rest ice or even see a doctor.
Okay. So we're taking care of our bodies. We're listening to those signals.
Yeah.
And we're feeling good about running. What's the main message we want to leave our listener with?
I think it's this. Running doesn't have to be something you're afraid of. With the right approach, it can be a truly amazing experience that benefits your whole body and mind.
I love that. It's about changing our mindset and seeing running as a source of strength and joy.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination. So enjoy the process, challenge yourself, and celebrate every step of the way.
And if you need any help along the way, rockingultra.com has got your back.
They have tons of resources to help you run smarter, safer, and happier.
It's like having a personal running coach right in your pocket.
Exactly. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and start running.
But do it smart.
And most importantly, have fun.
It's amazing how much we can learn from just one article.
Right. And that's the cool thing about rockingultra.com. They don't stop there. They have a ton of resources that go way deeper into all these different aspects of running.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling more confident about running now, knowing that I can actually take steps to protect my knees.
That's what's so great about knowledge, right? It can help you feel empowered instead of afraid.
For sure. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think it's this. Don't let the fear that running will ruin your knees stop you from doing something that can be so beneficial for your health. When you approach it the right way, running can bring you so much strength, joy, and energy.
I love that. It's like running is a gift, not a punishment.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about reaching some finish line. It's about the whole journey. So enjoy the process, push yourself a little bit, and celebrate all those little victories along the way.
And if you need a little help along the way, rockingultra.com is there for you.
Yep. They've got everything you need to run smarter, safer, and happier.
So it's like having a whole team of experts in your corner.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to cross our own finish line for this deep dive.
Ha! I like that.
It's been amazing having you here today.
Hey.
Thanks so much for sharing all your knowledge and insights with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration. We hope you learned something new and that you feel inspired to lace up your shoes and hit the ground running.
And remember, you have the knowledge and the tools to take care of those knees.
Exactly. So run happy, run healthy, and keep on exploring.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time, keep diving deep.